If you want to be the richest guy in the world or even filthy rich, I think architecture is not the profession to choose.
Thank you for having us here, first of all, Mr. Anil Bhaskaran.
Sure, yeah, it's my pleasure.
Thank you. Okay, I just saw in the workspace in your office that you've also, tried to correlate design with making a movie. Is that your thought, or is it something that inspired you?
Yeah, it's my thought. I've been thinking about the process of design and the process of practicing architecture per se. So, what I understood over the years is that when you design and make a building, it's actually like making a movie. So, in the movie you have a producer and a director. In a building you have the owner of the building and the architect. So, architect would play the role of the director, whereas the owner of the building would be something like the producer of the movie. He would be the financier. So, in the process, what happens is you, as the director of the movie, or in this case, the architect of the building, you would come out with the script, the storyline of the building, and the script of the building, which is actually the design and its details. And then you would actually make it happen. So, the producer would be in the background, financing you, supporting you all the way through. So, even in the craft of what you do, the craft of what you do is similar to movie making, the craft of the building making, I should say. So, the process of design and actually translating those ideas of the design into the building at the site, the craft work is quite similar the way I see it. So, the building ideally should have an architectural story. That storyline, that thread should run through and through the design process, through the construction. Even after the construction, movie should continue to tell that story to the viewers and the users. And ideally, it should have a nice beginning. It should have stories woven into it, story within the story, and also a nice climax.
Right.
Though this is why it is akin to movie making, the process.
However, what I would think, in movie making, I think you have much more creative freedom. And the experience is, in a way, it is not a holistic experience.
These South Indian classic temples South Indian temples are classic examples of the craftwork I just mentioned about. That if you start from the gate and up to the sanctum sanctorium, you will have a storyline. You will have a variation of spaces. So the architectural story that we are talking about, and then you'll have the final culmination where you have the vigraha, or the idol in the temple. So from the gate till that point, you go through a journey. Right. The journey would be through the spaces, different kind of spaces, and ultimately you reach that goal where you want to reach, which is the shrine and the sanctum sanctorium. In a way, architecture is all about that.
Right.
So if you are able to capture that essence and then translate that into your current designs, so you can actually use those principles which you are learning from the past and use them in the contemporary context. And I feel that is the way it should be done. So it cannot be just one object. The object, if you look at buildings, today a lot of buildings are being done as objects,
Right.
Especially in the Western countries. The spaces are forgotten in the process. The journey is forgotten in the process. The transition from zero to the culmination is forgotten in the process. So ideally, you should recapture what we had from the past and use it in the present day context.
When you're talking of a temple, there is a single point of focus. It's the shrine, and that the whole journey kind of revolves around that. And also the state of mind. When you're in a temple or in a religious location, your state of mind is slightly different. how do you culminate something like that into an institutional building where the focus is not necessarily one point, but there are various, different points?
Your point is very valid. However, even though there is got multiple points of focus that you're referring to, normally the institutional buildings, actually you can turn it around and then make it into some element being a culmination of all those points of focus. So all of them need not have equal importance. In fact, you can identify a particular element in your design and highlight that element, and that could be the culmination. So architecture should sequentially reveal, not in one shot, sequentially reveal, like in the case of a movie, the storyline step by step to the viewer, to the visitor, to the user, so that the curiosity value is kept alive till the last point. This is extremely important to understand when you do, when you plan a campus, when you plan multiple blocks of buildings, etc. Otherwise, it will be just an array of blocks, very monotonous, without any storyline. This is what I believe in.
Do you really see something like this? This is your thought and how you design, but what would you comment on what you see around in our country today?
One is what I call making buildings into simple objects and making architecture very superficial and literally skin deep. So you give some shape to the building and then cover it with glass all over, as though the building is angry with itself, right? And so that's the building becomes skin deep in the process. But building should have layers, like in the case of a person. What kind of person do we like? What kind of movie do we like? What kind of book do we like? We like the person with depth of personality. You like to unlayer that person as we come to understand that person more and more. We would like to unlayer the movie as we keep watching the movie and understand and then reach a certain conclusion. Similarly, in the case of building, it can be just one object staring at you and you have no depth. You have no layering happening.
But how receptive is the client when do you get this kind of freedom in your work? Because many a times we've noticed that clients come with something that, the preconceived notion. They want something else someone is already doing. How do you tackle the client like that?
First you need to prioritize what you want to do in life. I think it starts from there. What are your core beliefs? I think when you do more and more work, I've been practicing now for about 25 years. You are known for certain values, and the people that come to you, they want those values, and they are coming to you because they want to get that architecture from you. So it's no more a question of the freedom that you just mentioned about. It is actually up to you to how much you want to use your freedom.
You are talking of a reputation, maybe 20 years gives you that freedom, but there's a lot of people who are at the beginning of the whole story, and then there is, of course, bills to be paid. Many a times I think many architects do compromise on their beliefs and faith because there are certain bills to be paid. How does one really handle that?
I think first of all you need to decide that you don't want to be filthy rich. I think all the architects, the masters that we know of, they believe in that. If you want to be the richest guy in the world or even filthy rich, I think architecture is not the profession to choose. So you want to be reasonably rich, you want to be comfortable financially. That is number one. Once you decide on that, and then second thing is what is your design philosophy that you want to follow? What is a core belief system? So you decide on that as well. Once you set these goals, then you operate within those parameters that you set. Then you are never disappointed because your belief system is what is driving you.
Right.
If you're happy, you are successful. That answer came from my heart. So I think that defines what I stand for, at least. This same principle, if you apply to architecture, what is the building trying to do? The building should actually make people happy. Today, you are rating the buildings, right? The building rating has become a fashion.
Yes.
Ideally, you should actually rate the building based on the happiness quotient. This is my belief.
Thank you so much. This has been brilliant.
It's a pleasure. It was a pleasure interacting with you.